It's time for a driving review of the new VW Golf 8 GTI. Here in the sporty trim, the difference to the previous generation is supposed to be even bigger. Is that true? We'll find out. Here was Thomas, front of the camera, Jonas behind the camera, everything in exterior, interior and the fun driving experience. Join us now in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Here in the front, the new Golf generation in general has a new headlamp design, and when you have a GTI, you can see here this red stripe that goes all around the vehicle, and also the daytime running light below that has a middle part here, so that's a very nice idea together with the GTI logo here. Headlamps start standard also from the main headlamp unit with LED, optional the Matrix LED, and they call it IQ Light, that's their brand name for it. Then also the GTI has the stronger lower spoiler here with this span right there, the honeycomb structure in here, and this is the activated fog light. So this looks really spectacular. I think a nice unique feature. Of course, we have activated at the moment here also at daytime, usually only allowed to drive with that one when it's foggy, or you just activate it if it's not foggy. And here we have the turning indicators, or also the hazard lights, and they are here in the cascading style for this LED light. The length is at 4.28 meters, 14'4", or 168 inches. So not a big difference to the previous generation. Typical Golf dimensions. Yes, this time I went in from the front. I know there's the famous guessing game from which side I always enter the stage. And here the typical Golf shape with the characteristic very strong C-pillar, dropping line here at the height of the door handles right there. Wheels, they start from 17 inch with the GTI, optional goes up to 19 inch, and you can see these are also indeed the top 19-inch wheels, look really massive in this little bit twisted two-color scheme. Then the stronger lower spoiler right here, GTI badge. The color for today is called King's Red Metallic. There are also other colors available. For example, we also have a white vehicle for you there today. But of course, even more colors will be available. The white and the red would be some of the typical GTI colors. Suspension-wise is also interesting. Either a fixed sport suspension or the DCC, dynamic chassis control. Both are 15 millimeters lower each if you compare it to a standard Golf. And what they have also done is make the suspension rate in the front 5% stiffer in any case, and also in the rear 15% stiffer, and this is supposed to make the rear a little bit lighter in corners, and also the DCC has a wider span now from comfort to very stiff. We'll experience that when we drive the car. Again, all the measures have been done to make it less front wheel heavy and lighter definitely on the rear axle, so you should less experience that it's just a front wheel driven sports car. We'll see about that. The new Golf generation is a little bit more aerodynamic than before, and it also gets a new tail lamp design. In any case, looks pretty modern. The GTI then, the typical GTI badge with a new lettering, and in the lower part here, a contrasting sporty bumper and two real exhaust tips. Finally with the Golf, no job for the Autogefuehl fake exhaust police. And I know you like to see some details. For example, also here in the highest LED trim, the cascading turning indicators. Yeah, quite fancy, isn't it? So for the Golf GTI in this 8th generation, you don't have a gas strut. You have to put it up yourself. But they say this is also something for pedestrian safety, because it would be safer for pedestrians when this one is down. There's no gas strut, then popping this hood up potentially. Interesting. Then engine here, 2-liter TSI, the turbo petrol engine, 245 horsepower. So like the GTI performance version in the Mark 7, the Mark 8 gets here 245 horsepower, 370 newton meters of torque. 6.3 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And if you're now very clever and say, wait a minute, this isn't faster than before, even like 0.1 second slower. Yes, due to the updated particle filters and emission laws and so on. But there won't be any felt difference acceleration-wise. Front-wheel drive only here for the GTI, as usual. And I already talked about it in the exterior parts. So they did different measures to make this car even sportier. We also talked to Benny Leuchter, racing driver, and he actually said he really scored a couple of seconds better lap time with the new generation here because of the new measures they did. So this car is supposed to be really faster than before. I meant less front wheel heavy in the sense of less front wheel biased, because when the rear axle is a little bit, lighter and more comes around, then it feels less front wheel biased, this car. Together also with the electronic differential lock in the front. This is again supposed to reduce the effect of understeering by a front wheel driven sports car. We'll see about that in driving. Car key, normal from the new Golf generation. With capacitive buttons. No! Yeah, and I wish they put a GTI logo on there. Why not? So I think it should be differentiated a little bit. Other than that, keyless entry, putting your hand right here. Then also the mirrors fold in. And once again here, from the new Golf generation, so well integrated. And it's really way slimmer when these mirrors are folded in. That's really good. And then we go right there. Yeah, Homer Simpson would open and close it all day. So then let's open it, and of course the famous door closing sound test. That's what I really love still about the Golf. One of the best door closing sounds. Soft touch here. Then there's an insert also again with the honeycomb structure for the GTI. Soft fabrics there. One of the rare cars which still has a reasonable door inside pocket, and also then with felt cover on the inside, so you can really also put bigger items in there. Then you can see this new black panel design, digital instruments, two more deals to that. Once again the insert with the honeycomb structure, soft touch dashboard. Then a new GTI steering wheel. You remember maybe that a standard Golf steering wheel from the new generation still has normal buttons to press. This then here, the more sophisticated steering wheel, flat bottom GTI, contrast. This is also again, this is like a real stuff. This is not like a sticker or so. You can really feel the GTI letters. And then perforated sides. So this is actually quite nicely done. But then again, these capacitive buttons here, it's just one button field, so to speak. There you can also see that they're either black or illuminated. It looks fancy, but the control of capacitive buttons on the steering wheel is just bollocks. We can just be very straightforward with that. And only available here, this steering wheel. In the base Golf at least, you can go with the normal button still. Yeah. But then on the other side, beautiful seats. Look at that. The classic structure here, for the GTI, the typical, yeah, there are different names for that, how you call it. In Germany, we say GTI Caro, for example. Well, and then you can see the integrated head restraint for the sport seats. This is the standard GTI seat now. That's really, really cool. Well, maybe a GTI, stamp or something, that would have been cool there. But indeed, it looks unique. It has the typical GTI style. Then some microfiber inserts right there for a little bit more grip. Contrast stitches. So this looks really fancy. And I think it's also good that you can buy this GTI as it is from Works. You don't have to add more options to make it really fancy, you know. And the comfort of this sports seat is also really top-notch in general. In the new Golf 8 generation, more comfort for the seats. There are these new Ergo Active comfort seats. They are also pretty cool. But here the sports seats, sometimes sports seats look cool, but are not that good in comfort. Here it's actually both. You have a little bit more shoulder support here. And for tall adults, it works very well. Here for manual pumping it up, y'all, that works. And when I pump it all down, y'all, then still a lot of headroom left. With 1.86 or 6.1, a panoramic roof would optionally be available also for the GTI. Steering wheel control in a manual way. That's a good process because it really goes up and down and in and out in a very, very long way. So I think comfort-wise, a step forward here in this generation. But the capacitive buttons. But seats? Now the interior overview, characterized first of all soft touch dashboard and then design lines here, and again this honeycomb graphics on there, horizontal layout from these air vents here. Then a normal Golf in base in the 8th generation would start 8.25 inch. This here is the bigger 10-inch screen, standard for the GTI. And left side 10.25 inch digital gauges, so more deals to each of those screens. Again, the steering wheel setup here, I think sometimes the logo here is a little bit too dark. You can hardly read it. Not sure if it's me. I think the graphic here, the GTI graphic in the lower part is really cool. But then again, there we go. So steering wheel heating, this in 3 levels. That's actually quite cool. And then you press this one button. There's just one button, but then with different fields. And here, for example, you can change something in the digital gauges, zoom out to the views. Yeah, and then you can also slide on here. So both is possible. And on the lower part, you also slide left and right for next song, or you press it then for the next song. Yeah, and on the left side, this is even a little bit more complicated to set the cruise control on, ACC deactivated or to activate it. And then plus and minus is like a small press for 1 and deeper press for 10 kilometers. Yeah, it's really hard to control while driving. And then here is the distance, and sometimes you just slip with your finger, and then you're somewhere there and there all over the place. I can just say, if product managers by VW watch this, just go again with normal steering wheel. I mean, yeah, you save money when you just have one button, but it's not a step forward. Otherwise, very cool steering wheel, you know. This, however, still in animal skin wrap, by the way, but they're also developing alternative materials for that. Then on the middle part, you still have 4 capacitive hotkey buttons for the climber, and then mode for the DCC. This is very interesting. Soon more details when we talk about the screen. One more in advance here is that we have the temperature sliders left and right, and also the volume slider, and even that again hard to control that while driving. Lower part, we have 2 USB-C chargers, and then there's this cubby hole with the Golf stamp in there, and you can put this one up, and underneath there is an inductive charging pad. First time we see that here in the Golf. I guess this will also be an option for a normal Golf, for a non-GTI. Yeah, that would be that you put your smartphone below that, and then you can put something above that. Yeah, okay. I like to put my smartphone in here for the normal USB-Cs. Then or you can also have wireless CarPlay, for example. Start-stop engine flashes here like it would be a little bit alive, but they stole it all from Jaguar. That was their idea originally. Then the Dsg Shifting Lever. Either 7-speed DSG, this one with a wet clutch, glad they did that, it's more durable, and the shift by wire, easy to control, and the transitions are really fast. Also the shifting times by the DSG have been reduced in this new generation now. Alternatively, you can go with the manual gearbox, 6-speed manual gearbox. There is the shifting lever. It looks quite fancy. The small one with the golf ball design before was a little bit cooler, I think. But here you have a golf ball design at the back part where you touch it, so to speak. And it's a little bit thicker, but still looks quite fancy. But not that sporty, I think. Then you have some cup holders here. You can either remove them, have a bigger cubby hole, some rubber pads, or then press the button and once again you have a cup holder. And then there's this armrest here with the fabric and nice contour stitches, very well attached, and some more space underneath. And just if you wonder, put my iPhone X here in the lower part. Will it close? Yes, it does. So for the iPhone X, it does fit. Now deals to the screen. I know that the people that have worked on that really put a lot of effort in this new system, but I'm very, very sorry. You just have to redo it again, because this doesn't look newer than before. It's more complicated than before. And when a system before is quite easy to use, and now suddenly it's complicated and more laggy, so they obviously don't have sufficient CPU power here as well. It looks already outdated. Yeah, this is such a great vehicle, and I'm really, really sad that they put such a bad user interface in it. See here, the screen, again, not very responsive. It was so fast before, and they had one of the easiest GPS input. I don't know. Yeah, it's really a pity, but I hope they can still fix it later on. And it's also possible to update the software. Then here's the swiping function. That works better than before, definitely. Yeah, slaps giving. So then the Apple CarPlay. This is a cool integration, like this. And there's also the Harman Kardon sound system in here. And this one is giving you a great sound here for the compact segment. Yeah, let's put this Autostadt Pavillon here to the party. Nice, 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 nice. Like that. If I would have a volume knob, that would be even better. So, other than that, vehicle. Here you can also reset the consumption meter right here. It's easier to do it here than actually now in the digital instruments. But what I want to show you as well are the driving modes here for the DCC. Sports mode, comfort, eco. This will decrease the throttle input. This will increase the throttle input. Also make the shifting crisper, turn up the gears higher. And also the DCC, dynamic chassis control. Here in the comfort mode, it will be very soft and comfortable. In the sports mode, it will be the fastest setup. If you want to drive the fastest, have best performance, then you would put this one. However, now there's also the individual mode available. And in this individual mode, you can tune that even finer. So what we can do here, you see there's a new, wider span available. This would be the comfort setting. This would be the sport setting. You see there's a lot in between that. And you can even tune that further if you want it even more comfortable, even softer than comfort. Rather go into like a normal Golf DCC setup, then you would go even to the minus position. Or you say you don't want best performance, best speed, but just want the suspension to be even stiffer, because when it's the stiffest way, then the rear axle will be even lighter, because you will, let's say, when you drive really extreme, you will maybe even lose traction at the rear axle, and it becomes, very light in the rear. You can, almost drive it rear wheel alike and so on. Very interesting, definitely to try around that on a racetrack. And then you can also set here steering, drive, and engine sound, and so on. You can fine-tune that very well. So very interesting what I've done here. Usually you would use sport and comfort mode. Yeah, but maybe from time to time you want to experiment a little bit with the other stuff. Hey Thomas, you didn't show us the ESC button, because GTI 7th generation was famous for that you could go ESC on, ESC Sport, and ESC completely off. Where is that button? Doesn't exist. So, yes, you already guessed it right. You have to go to the infotainment. Let's see. Main menu. Vehicle. Vehicle. Exterior. Once. To the left. Brakes. ESC. ESC Sport. Whew. Yeah, we're there. And then ESC off. Okay. This please not on open road. And I can also tell you ESC Sport is the best performance setting. Even the racing drivers use ESC Sport because it gives you an advantage in speed on the racetrack. ESC off then, rather when you really want to play around with the car and you're also in controlled conditions. ESC Sport will also be enough already for the launch control. Just has to be in the S shifting mode then as well. Also possible with the ESC off, but there the same case is this will leave some rubber marks on the ground with launch control. This will be the best result for the launch control. The virtual instruments, here we go, with the special GTI styling in red and also with this background. And you can also change the view, for example, I want to have it look like this. Or if you rather prefer the map all over the place. So this is really helpful for navigating then, of course. And you can also individually tune what do you want to see left and right. Yeah, so you can play around with that quite a lot. The head-up display is a very good option to have for your current speed, allowed speed, and the assistance systems info. Left side and the right side, you can see some GPS info then with arrows. And by the way, it's crisper than it might appear on camera. This is a little bit blown up. There you can see what is happening. Of course, in real life, you have a better view to the head-up display in your line of sight. Now to the rear. Let's see. In the rear, we have hard pack. Yeah, for the price of a Golf GTI, I would have wished this was, that was soft touch as well. But the lower part then is actually quite nicely done. And also, again, they have the nice, unique seating design here with the contrast stitches. And also the racy checkered structure. Yeah, there we go. And seating test, of course, legroom-wise, this is a compact hatch. The wheelbase is not too long. It does directly fit here with my knees. It's okay. Maybe even a little bit better when you put the front seat a little bit higher, because I would better fit in this recess than here. There are some pockets here at the back side of the seats, maybe like for the smartphones, for the kids or so. And it's still reasonably comfortable here for a compact hatch in the rear. Also, the rear seating bench and so on. And the headroom is also, once again, okay. In the middle seat, it's also not too hard, so a rather soft area. Of course, sit a little bit higher than it still works, even though it's not the best for longer trips. ISOFIX anchors at the outside each, and then we can fold down this. Cup holders next to the ski hatch, which you can open from here. And then there's also a rear climate unit if the ignition would be on, and then two USB-C chargers in the lower part now. Do you guys remember when we were exact in this location here at Volkswagen Autostadt with all the VW SUVs, and it was super freaking cold? Today it's really hot, and the temperature difference from then to now is about like at least 40 degrees Celsius, if not more. Yeah, that's the world of contrasts. Is it also here with the GTI? Let's find out. Here, flipping the logo, opens the trunk. That's really good. And also with the square dimension, it's just a compact hatch, but very well usable trunk. Below here, you can also put a replacement tire if you want. There's some sound equipment in there. And here then you also have an almost even loading sill. I already folded one of the seat, 2/3, 1/3 split, or with the ski hatch in between. You could reach over right here. Other than that, you go around and open it from there. So here with some sample luggage, you can check it out like this, or will it also fit in the vertical way? Let's see, that should also easily work. Yeah, that's no problem. And by the way, the sound of the closing hatch, it also sounds, well, wait a minute, I'll put it even better. So now when I close the door, and then it sounds even better. So everything which you close, from the sound, this is really resonating to the rest of the build quality. Then here the length is 75 centimeters. The width here is about 1 meter. A little bit longer here behind the wheel arches. And the height to the cover at the side is just a little bit more than 40 centimeters. And then when we put the total length up to the seats as we would be driving as rather tall passengers, this is then about a little bit more than 1.50 meters. If you want it a little bit longer, then you have to go to the Golf variant, which you soon also see on Autogefuehl. Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge, Sports Mode, and yeah, that accelerates quite well, doesn't it? So you just have to put it in the S mode, the sports shifting mode, and then that's it. And when you're finished, you can put it once more back in the D mode, and then you're just back for the normal drive. You can always at the same time here use the shifting pedals to go in the manual shifting mode like this, and when you want to go back to a normal mode, then you just hold the right pedal, and then you're once again back to the D mode. And yeah, the first thing I realize, comparing to the older Golf, there's one in front of us, that's a variant. Indeed, they have stiffened up that chassis. Oh no, behind us, people are already watching. Oh, that's the new Golf GTI. They're like, oh, what's that? What's that? Yeah, especially here, because even in Wolfsburg, I mean, hardly anyone has seen the new Golf 8 as GTI, definitely. So they stiffened up the suspension, and we definitely do feel that. However, with the DCC, shown to you earlier in the interior part, we can also, vary quite a lot depending on the driving mode we're in. So here in the comfort mode now, for example, the DCC is quite soft and also forgiving, as when we're driving over some bumps and so on. So this is a very good everyday driving setup. And they promised us a lot from these individual controls, and I really want to see now when we put it all the way to comfort, the DCC. Let's see if that's even a bigger difference than to the normal comfort. Let's see. Now let's first go to comfort. So then individual. Yeah, it's at the moment combined with the sporty setup. As for the shifting, that's what it's a little bit strange. Then you have the very comfortable suspension setting, but then everything else set here on the sporty tone. That's a little bit irritating, but still, So this is in the comfort mode. Then it's interesting. So yeah, it's even a little bit softer indeed. So that does work. It is noticeable. However, the car always gives you a very balanced feeling, always a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. And that's also what the GTI has always been. However, if we now compare it, when it's really interesting, when I control the DCC, then it always goes back to the S shifting mode. Interesting. So here now in the sport preset, definitely stiffer, good control. And now to the sportiest setting. Yeah, even a notch sportier. So when now I will go over some bumps, then you definitely notice them. And now the biggest variation here from sports back to the comfort. Yeah, that's really a big difference. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you can play around with that and you can find your individual setting, definitely. But usually, again, I think people would make it easy and then use the presets here, the comfort or the sport here. So I'll leave it for comfort for now. And here the steering input, they also worked on that you have even less steering angle, so you can always keep both hands at the steering wheel in combination here with the Dsg, the dual clutch transmission, and that's very easy thing to do, easy thing to drive. Here now on 90-degree corner, and look at that, how the steering wheel is being turned, exactly 90 degrees. And so that's really cool, so you don't have to oversteer, with the steering wheel. I mean, this is really a great setup. You have a fine feeling for what you're doing. At the same time, you don't need too much power, but it still feels very natural to steer the car around. So that's really good. The question, previous generation, this generation here, of course, the wider span of the DCC and that you're more flexible in setting it. This is one of the differences. The general setting here for the suspension is indeed a little bit more, on a sporty side, no doubt about that. However, then again, if you think about, that's maybe too stiff, then you can once again use more of the comfort setting. And once again, the Golf here is a very good compromise. Then it's not you can take it just as a daily driver and have no compromise as for both comfort and sportiness. And that's what's really, really cool about the GTI still. So steering wise, I think it's even a little bit more precise and direct than before. Shifting times of the Dsg a little bit shorter than before as well. There is also the 6-speed manual gearbox. We can maybe do if you like, a review of that one at a later stage. So far, of course, most people, like the majority, it depends on the market, but the majority of people will opt for the Dsg as an option. It is also sportier and faster, definitely. The fast acceleration time can definitely be reached with that. Now let's go to the sports mode and do an acceleration. Then automatically the S shifting mode is activated. Let's do acceleration 65 to 100. Plop. That's it already. So very good acceleration. And now you all, also heard the difference. The first one we did was just putting into the S shifting mode. This now is also the sports mode, which introduces then the S shifting mode as well. So once again, the difference is you can either be in the comfort mode and just pull the shifting lever back, then you are in the S shifting, so the gears are turned up higher and are also shifting down earlier. Or then again, just start neutral again when you are in the driving mode of sport, where all the other settings are being set. For example, a little bit more resistance in the steering wheel, more throttle input as well, then the S shifting mode. So more factors are being combined, and also you heard that we have more sound here, definitely. So, and that really sounds quite decent here on the interior, so why not? Once again, even if you are in the sports mode, the car remains with a certain comfort here. Just the lane change is just superb. The sport seats hold you tight. At the same time, they are also very comfortable. And it is a joy even to put this car on the racetrack. I've been driving GTIs and Golf Rs also on different racetracks. And you might think, oh, you need like a pure sports car for the racetrack, but no, not necessary. This here has a short wheelbase, it's a compact hatch, and it's a lot of fun to drive it in a very, very fast way, even on a tight racetrack. That definitely speaks for the vehicle. So about these things that the rear axle now feels lighter, this is indeed something we could rather show you on the racetrack. We did have time on the racetrack with the previous generation in different versions, so I hope at the later stage we can also do that. Today, more an everyday driving life street review here of the GTI. So definitely we can say in this generation, more comfort on demand from the suspension, more comfort as for the new seats, yet at the same time more sportiness from the suspension if you want it. And yeah, I think the car is a little bit more precise than before. So the steering input and together what the suspension does, this has been optimized. Also, by the way, when you shift down, or for example, like I do a kick down, they have optimized to which gear the car is shifting down. So with this dual clutch transmission, you can imagine it's like on the right side, you like in the schematics, you have like gear 1, 3, 5, and 7. On the other side, reverse gear 2, 4, and 6. And so before that, it was, for example, went like from like 7th to 5th gear, and now it goes from 7th to 4th gear, like to the other side of the of the transmission. That's how dual clutch transmission works. Like the other gears already preset in, and then you switch the side, and that is faster than the process before. So these are the little tweaks they've done to make the car a little bit more responsive, and just optimizing things. And I think, why not? Driving 80 kilometers now here, by the way, so like 45 miles. Really silent here. The noise insulation is once again among top of the segment. So you indeed feel that everything that is hardware related here, suspension, steering, noise insulation, the hardware build quality, the engineering work behind it, the chassis, top-notch benchmark in the segment. Then again, we come to the software side, where at the moment we cannot use the climate control. It says off, but it's gladly running with the AC. I feel it, it's cold, and it's like, like waiting. I cannot use it at the moment. I cannot control it because it's somehow crashed. That's the software side. However, let's go back to the hardware side. That's 180 kilometers an hour, easily reached, nicely done. And so race drivers and engineers promise us that the difference from the Mark 7 GTI to the Mark 8 GTI is more crucial the faster you drive. And I can say it's true. I mean, this is a compact hatch, but it's so calm and collected and sovereign on the road, even at higher speeds. It is also still very silent in here, now at 160 kilometers an hour. Wow. I mean, this driving wise, from how how collected it remains here at these higher speeds, it feels like 1 or 2 segments above. This is really astonishing. What a great engineering job here. 170 kilometers an hour, I just used another lane change. It's incredible. I mean, I'm driving a still comfortable suspension here in the sports mode, but yet the car is not shaking at all. Wow, I'm really, really impressed what they've done here. And indeed, this is here when you drive really, really fast. I mean, you felt comfortable before with the Mark 7, definitely. But here in the Mark 8, this is really, really a step further. So, the way I'm sad about the user interface and the software, the more impressed I'm really about driving this vehicle in the new generation. And I really hope they can fix software stuff, because, you cannot change a chassis afterwards, but they can maybe put on new software. However, I think there's also even a new CPU unit needed for that. All the software needs to be simplified, that it doesn't need so much processing power or something. Yeah, but at least it's easier to change that than to change the whole chassis of the vehicle, which is clearly not necessary by any means. Once again, this vehicle is so much fun to drive, and you don't need a super expensive sports car to be able to. This guy behind me, it's 60 kilometers an hour. What the? I mean, I'm reducing the speed because it says like 3 times 60 kilometers an hour, and the guy behind me is like, can you drive faster? No, I can't, because I still need my driver's license. Yeah. That's bullying from behind. But that caddy shouldn't mess with the Golf GTI. Not in this generation especially. Because as soon as we can accelerate out again, of course we'll do that. So, we're getting on just here. Goodbye. Yeah, there we go. And now 130 kilometers an hour. This is a good way to test the motorway speed at the standard usual speed level. And once again, the car is so comfortable, I don't feel urged to go back from the sports mode to the normal driving mode. So I'm really once again astonished how comfortable this car is still in the sporty suspension mode, and I think one of the best adaptive suspension I've been driving for a compact vehicle. Yeah, there's this, like, for example, the adaptive suspension by BMW for their big vehicles. That is really like nothing else. But here, yeah, probably one of the best adaptive suspensions ever built for a compact vehicle. Then let's test the cruise control. ACC set to 130 kilometers an hour, and now it starts already. I'm clicking so many things here on the steering wheel. This is the distance now, and now now again ACC deactivated, minus, plus. It's like, I know, I've driven 2,000 cars in my life. Oh, now I have it activated. And it's so unintuitive. Now with small press, 1 kilometer less and more. And I didn't even pay attention to the road because I was so concentrating on this one. Of course, you get used to it a little bit, yes. But still, it's so distracting. Travel Assist is being activated. That means Travel Assist is also here controlling us to keep us in the lane. Let's see. We reduce the speed to 120 kilometers an hour. So a harder press goes in a 10 kilometer step up and down. And then again, a gentle press, just 1 kilometer more or less. Once again, the sensor here behind it, the adaptive cruise control, also keeping distance to the car in front of us. It's really very well done, really cool. Also the Travel Assist here keeping us in the lane. This is also working pretty flawlessly. Just once again the user interface, which is so complicated here with the capacitive buttons. Before that it was, I mean, that's probably also the thing, you know. So before it was one of the most simple and straightforward user interfaces. Now it's one of the most complicated ones. I think this is the biggest problem, that they went from being like almost perfect to control to this. Really pity. So once again, then let's switch the modes. So let's go back to the comfort mode, see how I experience the motorway here. And then usually, I mean, what's happening here? Usually I press minus or plus, and then the cruise control is activated again. Why do I have to press this button right next to the minus button once again? Before that you were just setting on, you know, on minus or plus, and then it was continuing with the current speed. I don't know why they deleted that feature. No idea. Here now, distance with the car is being kept. I can also increase the distance here. So that's at least somewhat easy. And you can enjoy in the normal driving mode. Also you hear that the sound is a little bit more subtle. You can relax a little bit more. Also longer motorway drive is no problem here in the Golf GTI. Again with the sport seats. Blind spot monitor here very well integrated in the side mirror, and when I also hit the turning indicator, then you see it's also flashing as an additional warning that someone is next to us, or then maybe even a little bit further back. So assistance systems wise, also really very well done. But it's also very reliable. Of course, you should never rely on it 100%. You are still responsible. So already, there's also one new Golf already, indeed, but just a normal one, Golf diesel, probably 2 liter TDI. There's no other diesel at the moment. Traffic sign recognition. I wonder just why it doesn't reduce the speed automatically. Usually the speed also would be reduced automatically. At least traffic signs are being recognized and also being displayed right here. Now construction site on the motorway. Let's go here. And now it goes again. I have no idea why it's cancelling. So I have to set the speed and then press resume. You know what I mean? Especially like, you know, if you're a Golf 7 customer, then you know that I think isn't it with both minus or plus buttons that you can resume the cruise control by that? At least by one, but if not by two. But here, doesn't work, you have to press on resume. No idea why they did that. Tja, well. It's really like pro and con review. That's also what's making it very interesting. No doubt about that. Sports mode, here also takes ages to switch to it. 60 to 100. Plop, that's it. That was like, you know, almost a dead moment, you know, like there is no turbo lag, by the way. This is the shifting back from the Dsg. So what they also did is, we can test that. They say when we are in the comfort mode, and then you switch to the sport mode, no matter what, it's always going one gear down. Yeah, maybe seen or heard that from 7th to 6th gear. So I think that's also definitely a good idea. Also, they said they want to give like a confirmation to the customer that you went in the sports mode. But you know, also to pick the sports mode, in the R models, you will have a button at the steering wheel That's actually good to go in the R mode. But here, always at this mode button, then set it here on the screen. Again, you're not looking on the road. I don't know. You can also then click the mode button once more, but you also don't get a real feedback. It's just a haptical one. So maybe at some point then you just use the shifting lever to go to the S shifting mode. That's probably then the easier way to do it just while driving. And of course, always nice, even if you don't switch any driving mode, here just use the manual shifting, because then you know you can already be in a lower gear. Then you don't have stuff happening like this kick down, which can be a little bit weird from time to time, which you also experienced. So I really like to use the shifting pedals for that when I see, and there's the next overtaking going on, and then just shift down twice or so, and then you're also just fine. So you see a little bit more motorway focus here for you today. When we're in Germany, or we also want to give you some more motorway, and once again, we're doing lane change here about 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour. So flawless once again. Driving part, really fantastic job here from the new Golf GTI. And what about the fuel economy for today? In a normal driving cycle, if you rather keep it calm, 7 liters on 100 kilometers, that's 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK. And if you drive in a more performant way, then rather 8 liters on 100 kilometers, that's then more in this 30 mpg region. And now to our conclusion for today with the Golf 8 GTI. First of all, from the exterior, a very strong styling here for the GTI, and even just from works, you don't need any additional equipment or an additional trim or something that optional. Just how it comes just from the assembly line, I think it has a very sporty look, and it's just finished. You don't need too many options, also with a performance exhaust in the rear and so on. And of course, very cool look with the fog lamps right there. Interior wise, great seats, they're very well done. More comfort than before. At the same time, they're also a little bit sportier. That's also a scheme about the whole vehicle. It is more comfortable and sporty at the same time. You do have more handling performance, and especially at higher speeds. The car is more precise, a little bit crisper, even better to control, and so sovereign on the road that it feels like it would have a longer wheelbase and would be a segment from above. So, hardware-wise, probably one of the best cars in the segment once again, definitely. And I can really say even better before. So they indeed have a nice notable step from the 7th to the 8th generation. And the difference here, normal Golf to normal Golf and GTI to the new GTI, is a little bit bigger, I feel, especially driving wise. On the racetrack it will be even more exciting. Maybe we can deliver that to you at a later stage. Then, sadly, the only downside is the user interface. The software they have on there, the CPU, it's not really suitable. It doesn't keep up with the rest of the vehicle. They really have to fix that, because this is such a fantastic vehicle, really. And the price performance is also still very, very good. So they need to have a suitable software for that. It was good before. They could have left the older one, then it would have been fine. So guys, what do you think? Leave us your comments here to the Golf 8 GTI. Has been a very interesting ride here today. Let's discuss this vehicle. Also check out some other versions of the Golf we have, of course, on our channel. See you there, or see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.